Aquaman 2, the trailer just came out. The Marvels had a colossal drop, huge drop, biggest drop in Marvel history, and something like 76%, 74%. What is Marvel going to do next? Do they proceed, go on with the plan that they had, or have they already started to shift on that plan? There's some other things, man. Speaking of Marvel, Mads Mikkelsen is up for Doctor Doom. What? I love Mads Mikkelsen, but what? I love 80s movies. I love 80s movies. Well, Beverly Hills Cop, one of my favorite 80s movies. Sequel, well, I guess what is the fourth one? They're gonna do. They already have. It's called Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley, and the great thing about this, they have pictures, and they said that it already feels like it's 80s movies all over. Speaking of 80s movies, Beetlejuice. I said it 3 times. The second movie has wrapped filming. So we'll get that one also. There's other news, there's other stories, there's other things that we're going to cover here today on this very special live episode of The Big Thing. So thank you guys for joining me, whoever's joining me here today on the show. I appreciate it very much. We will, as we always do on Monday, when I do the shows on Monday, I do all the super chats. We go through all the topics today. And then once we're done with the topics, then I get into anything that you guys want to talk about. So start throwing those questions in. We'll get to all of them. I don't get off the air until I read every single question that comes in from you guys when you throw in those super chats. So don't fret. I don't say fret enough. So don't fret. Okay. We have reached we're almost at 103,000 subscribers, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the journey. We're trying to push to 200. We're trying to move, trying to get there. So the support that you guys have shown has been tremendous, whether it is subscribing, liking, and one of our wonderful sponsors. And we just got an uptick in Spotify and in Apple Podcasts. And of course, the Patreon. Man, we're moving. We're moving with the Patreon. There's a deal right now. I think there's like one more of those one-on-ones. I basically do 30 minutes with people. There's like one more of those that's left, but we put together, we're almost 400 patrons over there, and the next 3 will get a free, no matter what tier you sign up to, we'll get a free 15-minute one-on-one session. It can be with anybody in the crew. It's kind of like a grab bag. So sign up today and you'll get that perk whereas we would go to reach 400 patrons. All right. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. I'm excited to do the live show, excited to talk about all this stuff. Let's get to it. It is The Big Thing with me, Kristian Harloff. All right, let's do it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Big Thing. Again, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We're making a push to try to get some more of those interviews. I know you guys love when we do the interviews. We're making a move to do that. I got someone really special working on it and crossing fingers that comes through, but we're going to be making a heavy push to get, I know that we had, I think it was Andrea Riseborough last year, right before she got nominated for the Oscar. We had Diego Luna on. Of course, Katie Sackhoff's been on. We have Amber Mid-Thunder. We're going to really make a push to get some more great guests in here for you guys as we build out The Big Thing. And I'm excited, man. Almost 103,000. Thank you guys very much. I mean it. I am going to make a video. People have been asking me if I'm going to make like a 100,000 subscriber video, and I will. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. I've seen a lot of movies over the last couple of days. I can't talk about it just yet, but Wonka. I saw, obviously, I have my Iron Claw out there. I have Napoleon. And so I told the patrons what happened with Hunger Games, but I didn't tell you guys yet because I noticed that some of you guys probably like, well, you had an out of the theater reaction for the Hunger Games. I noticed it's gone. Yeah. You know what happened? So stupid. So if you guys have seen where I do the out of the theater reaction, sometimes it's kind of been like an ongoing bit that when I get out of the theater, they play music throughout the mall. And I have to like run and avoid it when I'm doing it. So that's why people are like, why are you always walking? Why aren't you standing still? Because it blares through no matter where you are. So sometimes when you're walking, it just kind of blends it out. And there's been a couple times when I've gotten flagged for the copyright, and I have to write the same thing every time on the appeal. I go, hey, I'm walking around a mall, and it's in the back at the mall, and they usually always drop it. So I don't remember what the name of this song was that I got hit for. So I did what I do. I appeal it, and it puts it in. It says, okay, they'll let you know if you have to, if they still think their claim is right. Normally they won't on something like that. So I appeal it, and they say no, their claim is still. They say their claim is still valid. So I appeal it again, and I go, I'm walking around in the mall. I did not re-upload this song. I didn't even want this stupid song in my video. Let's get it out of there. I don't want it. So let me have my video and leave me alone. So after a couple of days, I get a notice from YouTube, and it says they say their claim, they're sticking to it. So unless you cancel the appeal, they're gonna pull your video down, and then you'll get a strike in your channel. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, screw that. So I go to appeal it, and the process was ridiculous. And I'm like, spending all this time going through the process, and I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, forget it. Just deleted this stupid thing, and then I just talked about it on the big thing with Roxy. I did like a non-spoiler review. So that's why people wondering where the out of the theater reaction is for that. That's what happened. I was bummed about it, but I saw Tim. I see that you put it in the super chat. Thank you so much. I'll get to your question by the end of the topics. I promise. Thank you for putting that in there, as always. Always very generous of you. So thank you. So that's what happened there. And before I get into any other topics, here's another thing. A little story for you guys as I get into the show. I know sometimes you like to hear the stories, sometimes you don't. Well, I don't know what to tell you. What I can tell you is that we got something really fun going on. Who's going to be? Is anybody going to be at the show, the live show? We got a live show on December 2nd. Pretty pumped about it. It's going to be pretty great. I'm excited for it. And people just give me stuff. The freaking people walking around on the streets. They give me things to talk about. And this was, I'm sitting there with my family. We're putting up, I don't know how you guys feel about Christmas ornaments. I usually put them up after Thanksgiving. That's when I think it's fair game. But my youngest, 6 years old, really wanted to do it yesterday. Not putting stuff up in the house and all that, but out on the lawn. So Santa and the snowman and whatever. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. So my wife and my two kids were out there. We're putting shit up on the lawn, and we dumped the bag with all the stuff on the lawn, and here comes this group of people, and they're walking by, and they all got dogs with them, and they're on their leashes, and they're walking with the leashes, okay. And this people seem friendly enough. They're like, hey, it's a party. You're putting up the Christmas stuff. And it's like, okay, so people are happy, great. And so this old beagle is with this one lady. She's walking the old beagle. And the old beagle, she's like, this is Archie, and this is Archie. He's happy. I go, okay, Archie looks all right. I go, Archie looks like he's ready to piss on some stuff. And so Archie's moving through, and Archie, I go, I know these old bastard dogs. They don't give a fuck. And this old dog walks over, and I see him, and he lifts the leg, and he pisses on the bag where all the stuff was on. I go, Archie, no. And she goes, what's that, food in there? I go, no, it's not food. Why would it be food? Why would I have a big, huge Santa bag of food there? Why would that be food? And second of all, if it was food, why is Archie pissing on the fucking food? And then what does she do? She doesn't go like, normally you'll get somebody who will say something along the lines, and they'll look and they'll go, oh, he never does that. It's bullshit. But she didn't even say that. She just hauled ass. Her and Archie took off because Archie doesn't care. Archie's 2 years away from being dead. Archie doesn't give a fuck. Archie's going to piss on everything. It's the owner's decision, and the owner should know that Archie can't hold his bladder or doesn't give a shit. Archie doesn't care. Archie wants to piss on everything because Archie is on his way out. So I'm sitting there with a snowman is turning around in the wind. I got Santa flopping around like an asshole because I haven't knocked him into the thing yet, and a bag full of piss because of Archie. It's fucking bullshit, people. So that was my day. And that's it. And Archie. And that's it. Archie. So Archie might have to make it into the show on December 2nd because you should have seen him. This is Archie. Why is Archie on my lawn? Why can't you show Archie from the distance? I can see Archie. If I look at right there, I can see fucking Archie. He's got a harness on him because he's probably pissed on everything else because yanked him back before, but you knew Archie was coming in for the kill. You knew it, lady. This is bullshit. I feel you don't like Christmas. And I feel you wanted Santa to get pissed on, but you settled for the bag. That's my take on it. Archie. All right, let's move on. Let's get to what are we getting to? Let's get to these stories. There's tons of stories. There are a lot of stories. And after everything has been going down, strikes are over. And there's a lot to talk about. Tons. And the big story, guys. Oh, man, it's another big story that just broke. I'll talk about that. That'll be my next story. Let me pull that screenshot. It's a big story that just broke. Definitely covering that. Excited to talk about that. Do that next. Okay, so let's talk about, I don't know what Marvel's going to do here, but the box office is in, and the Marvels has a disastrous second week, one of the biggest drops so far. The box office was such a drop, it breaks a record. And this is by Garth Franklin over at Dark Horizons. Marvel Studios, The Marvels is breaking a record no film wants to break. The movie, which had the worst domestic opening ever for an MCU film with 46.1 last weekend, is now doing 10.2 million domestically for the weekend. 78% in its sophomore outing. It marks not just Marvel Studios' worst second weekend drop of all time, but the worst for any Hollywood superhero film in modern history. It's a bigger drop than even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which had the record at 69% in its second week. Overseas, the film took in another 19.5 from 52 markets, and to date, it has earned 96.3 million overseas and 161.3 million globally. It's a disaster, but one its young star isn't worried about. Speaking with Yahoo this week, Ms. Marvel herself, Iman Vellani, was asked about the film's opening weekend results, to which she responded with a very healthy attitude to the whole thing. I don't want to focus on something that's not in my control, because what's the point? That's for Bob Iger. The box office has nothing to do with me. I'm happy with the finished product, and the people that I care about enjoyed the film. It's genuinely a good time watching this movie, and that's all we can ask for with these films. It has superheroes. It takes place in space. It's not that deep, and it's about teamwork and sisterhood. It's a fun movie, and I'm just so happy I can share it with people. She also thanked author Stephen King, who has used social media to criticize negativity toward the film. Excuse me. She also thanked Stephen King, who has used social media to criticize negativity toward the film. There you go. All right. So, look, there's a lot here. Do I think that this movie is better than some of the other? I mean, look, I have my issues with this movie. You guys know I do. And I was just talking about this today with one of our patrons on the one-on-one session. The first half an hour of this movie is as good as the Flash or Blue Beetle or any of these movies. It's fine. And then there's a big number that happens, if you've seen the movie, that absolutely ruins it for me. And it's not the only thing. There's a lot of, the writing is bad. It's all over to me, it's all over the place. I don't think that, well, it's fun should be an excuse anymore. I just don't. Not with these movies, not with what they're trying to do now. And tone, they need to figure out like what the hell what their movies are. And it's not just, this movie's just going to be used. It's one of many though, guys. I mean, it's because we're so used to Marvel because of the incredible run that they had over the course of however many years, from 2008, 2009, whatever Iron Man was in 2008. And this string that they had for what they did, I don't think they get enough credit for that. Like, they were having hit after hit after hit. They couldn't miss. And it's because Marvel is not hitting right now that they're, of course, going to get all the, look at the Giant. The Giant is falling. But superhero movies in general right now, and it's even when you look at it, it kind of plays into Aquaman 2, the trailer, right? This trailer today, I don't know if anybody saw the reaction that I did today, the trailer reaction that I did today for Aquaman. I said it's a better trailer than the first one, but it doesn't look different. And I just think that, and it just looks generic. It looks like I've just seen it. It's a better trailer. It's for sure a better trailer. But because we're so deep into the superhero genre, you've got to have things that kind of switch it up and make you want to see it in the theater. Because I don't buy into the notion of like, well, it's just superhero fatigue and then that's it. And I think Chris Carr said it the first time she was on, it's mediocrity. I can't say that word. Stop being mediocre, Archie. And that's where we are right now. We're at this place where it's you can't like I saw a couple of comments going, "Oh, this looks really fun." Okay, but I think fun can be on streaming now. Because of what we're trying to do, how much money you're going to spend in a movie theater. And I've always used this as far as the reason why people will continue to just wait for streaming on movies they're just not confident about, because you're paying monthly for a service, right? Let's say you're paying whatever it is, $15 a month for a service. Now, inside of that $15, if you get one of these movies that you want to see or a show that you want to see, right? It's already less than the ticket price and the popcorn that you're going to have to pay for one of these movies. So if you're like, "Oh, well, I don't want to see the Marvels. It's not something I really wanted to see in the theater. I'll wait for it for Disney Plus because I already pay." Disney just upped their prices. So I'm going to spend money on that every month and then put in money that I don't necessarily really want to see this movie. And the trailers haven't gotten me. So a trailer and a movie has to want you to go for a lot of people. Now there's just people who loves movies and want to go to the movies no matter what. We'll see bad movies, we'll see good movies, we'll see average movies because they want to be in the theater. I love that, but it's not everybody. It's rare. So the people who really, you got to get them. You got to get them. So like a trailer like Aquaman 2, and even as I'm watching it going, the trailer's better than the first one. It's, you see him as he's more of the relationship with him and the kid and about him being a dad and that kind of, sure. But then you get all the CGI stuff and there's the villain who wants to take over the world and he's coming after, and then that him and his brother are going to team up and take out the villain. And it's like the same shit you've seen a million times. And that's why I think Echo resonated with people, because nobody expected Echo to be anything. Now, I don't know how the show's going to be. The show could be shit. But the trailer was great because the trailer went back to what we loved about the Netflix Daredevil series, because the Daredevil series for Netflix was so different and they went hardcore. And I'm not saying everything needs to be hardcore. I'm not saying everything needs to be violent and bloody and all that stuff too. It's a shift in what we're getting with Marvel. So you're like, whoa, that's different. What's that? That's different. I was expecting the same kind of campy, cartoony bullshit. It wasn't. And that's not the same guy we saw in Hawkeye. That's a different Kingpin. That's a Kingpin I know from Netflix. And it was so different when I saw him the first time. And yes, similar to Netflix, but such a switch from what we've been doing. So you got to switch things up. Same thing with Madam Web. Same shit. It looked like every other Sony verse movie that they've done. It looked like every other. It's not the same tone as the MCU movies, but the same tone as the Sony verse movies. Nothing different. So when you're looking at new things, you want to see different shit. And I think that the Marvels fell into that. I think, and both the Marvels and Blue Beetle definitely suffered from the stars not being able to promote. But to say that it would have saved them on the box office, I think is disingenuous. I saw people go, well, the stars weren't able to promote. The stars still could have promoted. And even if they added another $50 million or even $100 million, which is being more than generous, to the film, you're still going to lose $100 million. You're going to lose $200 million in that movie right now with marketing and everything else too. So now the question is also, what's Marvel do next? What does Marvel do next? It looks like they've done some shifting already. It looks like they've already started to shift. They've done some things where they're going to go, well, we had look at like Echo or Daredevil, they're redoing, or Deadpool, they're doing some stuff too. They're doing changing things up. The plan, like, where does their plan go, right? Like, so, and I said this to Coy and Winston on Capes and Cowls. With the Young Avengers has been teased for a bit. I think that if they do the Young Avengers as a movie, it is a colossal error. I think they should do it as a Disney Plus movie, or they should do it as a Disney Plus series. To do that as a movie would be a colossal error. It just, especially right now, you gotta build it up. And it's also these characters that are being built up inside of this phase of the MCU. It's just not working yet. I love Ms. Marvel. I think she's great. And I would love to see her do some stuff inside of this Young Avengers show or Disney Plus movie, an event that's the way that you can do it. But I don't know. You guys might disagree with me. I'd like to see the comments. Like I said, I will do a bunch of super chats. I saw a bunch of them coming in. I will get to all of them. So throw them in now. And by the end of the show, once I'm done with all the topics, I'm going to hit this one topic that just kind of popped up. Let me put this over here. Well, let me turn this off, by the way. I have too much stuff on, guys. I have way too much stuff on. Let me see. And I also can't see anything anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know about you guys, but like my eyes are turning to shit. It was at one point it wasn't too bad, but now it's garbage. Garbage eyes now. Okay, this is the report that I just saw. Can't wait to get the comments on this one because I don't know how you feel about it yet. But here it is. There is a new Bourne movie. Hadn't heard about it, but apparently there's going to be a new Bourne film, new Jason Bourne film. And here is the story again from Dark Horizons. A 6th film in the Jason Bourne franchise is on the way. This is awesome. With All Quiet on the Western Front director Edward Berger in negotiations to both develop and direct the project for Universal Pictures, reports Deadline. The studio has begun development on the next installment in the series, so there is no script. It would mark Berger's first project since All Quiet on the Western Front, and since it took an Oscar for Best International Feature Film earlier this year. If a deal closes, it would be the only attachment at this time. No other talent is on board. Matt Damon, who starred as Jason Bourne character in 4 of the 5, would be first approached to return to the role once a script is finished. It's reported that Damon won't even consider coming back unless there's a strong script in place, which means it could take some time. The Bourne franchise has been one of Universal's best success stories. The loose adaptation of Robert Ludlum novels began in 2002 with the Doug Liman directed Bourne Identity, which was a big success, taking $214 million from a $60 million budget and landing very positive reviews. Then it continued on with Paul Greengrass, took over 2 sequels, Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, which were more well received along with being smash hits. The third took in $442 million with a $130 million budget. Then it stumbled. The Jeremy Renner led The Bourne Legacy in 2012 and Damon's return in Jason Bourne in 2016. Mixed reviews, even though they both did solid box office. Berger had a big success on TV in recent years with The Terror, Your Honor, and Patrick Melrose. He recently directed Conclave based on the novel by Robert Harris. Yada, yada. Okay. So what I like, again, this goes back to what we were talking about so many times on this show. Team. It's all about the team you put together. Yes, script is super important. You know, the performances, the actor, the team in general that you put together, and that obviously the script with the writing team is part of it. But the if you start that with a director like Berger for what he did for All Quiet on the Western Front, I think right there, Matt Damon goes from being wait, what? Who are you approaching? Okay, I'm interested. Let me see the script. I'm interested. Because he at one point said that he wouldn't come back at all unless what's his face was the last director was I can't think was I just literally just read his name, and he said he wouldn't return unless he was going to have Paul Greengrass. If Paul Greengrass came back, he said, well, then I'll come back. And Paul Greengrass did come back, and the movie was okay. The movie was just okay. I watched it recently, and it fits in. It's fine, but I'd like to see what Berger could do with it and how Matt Damon could fit into it. And it's got to be clever though, right? That's the thing. And so I understand that's probably where the hesitancy comes from Matt Damon. It's like, I don't want to just nail this thing into the ground. We had a really good thing, even though the last one did good at the box office. People didn't love it the same way because it was always the 3 with Matt Damon. Everyone was like, yes, those are the 3 best. And then the Jeremy Renner one was fine. It was fine. It was very different. They thought they were going to team up and they never teamed up. But it was always like, the Damon ones, it's not Bourne without Damon. And then Damon came back and it was fine. So if they can make another great one, that's always what you're chasing, right? And that seems to, and that's everything, whether it's a fighter who had all these different fights and was knocking people out left and right, had one bad fight and then came back and, or a football a quarterback or a basketball player or whatever comes back and goes one more game. Because they want the glory of what they had to be able to walk off and say, look what I just did. Look what we did. And that's what you could do with Bourne. And I think that, and it's another movie that we'll be able to talk about with Beverly Hills Cop. Same thing. I like giving this a shot. and I like the director a lot. And I think that the director could bring something special to it. But what do you guys think? Do you think that it could work? Do you think that another Bourne is the way to go, or should they just let it go? They've got enough movies. They have the 5 movies. That's it. Or should they? Because Jeremy Renner just posted something recently. He's skipping around in his driveway now. It was a really great video to see. It was awesome to see. He was like, they had this music. It was like, I think it's been about a year since the accident, and he had him like kind of skipping in his driveway with this music. It was really inspirational. It was awesome. So who knows? Maybe the two of those guys could do something together. Maybe they bring in Jeremy Renner in this new script. I'm so curious to hear those comments and see what you think. Okay, so before I move on, as I've told you guys countless amounts of times, that in order to make this show work, we have wonderful sponsors. We got great sponsors. And I have been raving about First Leaf, and it's a wine sponsor, guys. And it's so good. And I love them. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them, as well as the great people over at AG1. Let me tell you about both of those right now. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I audibly cheered when I found out that First Leaf was coming on as a sponsor. I cheered. Why? Because I love wine. I love wine. Who doesn't love wine? I am a wine person. I've been really drinking a lot of Pinot Noirs lately, and they sent me them. They sent me one of those. They customize to what you like. Mark Riley's going to lose his mind, by the way, when he finds out that First Leaf is coming on. And they sent me, these are the ones that I got. Look at that. Clearly, the last one is empty. That's right when I got it. Anyway, First Leaf knew exactly what to send me, because they gave me like a little quiz up top. And they said, what do you like? And I love them. They make it so easy to get personalized wine delivered. It's on my schedule. It's right to my door. I choose the day that my shipment comes. I'm never stressed about missing a delivery. And every selection is backed by First Leaf's 100% satisfaction guarantee. It is so good, so easy. I love it. It's great. And it's great being a member, because you get to avoid the overwhelming feeling when I used to go into the aisles of the supermarkets or in the stores in general and go back and forth. And I was like, I don't know what to get. I'm not sure. I know I like this. I'm not sure if I think I like that. I like the taste of that. There had to be a better way. I got the better way. First Leaf. They match award-winning bottles to my taste, so I get just right wines in every shipment. It's wine exploration without the guesswork. If you can tell that I'm excited, you're right. I love it. Look at these. Look at the ones that I got so far. I mean, really, really good. I got I got some Pinot. I got some stuff from Australia. I got the different blends, and I'm telling you, I'm red. I like the red. My wife likes the white. So we made sure we got a couple different ones. Now with the membership, this is the one. This is the one I've been waiting for. I love this one. I love First Leaf, and you guys will too. Give your palate what it really wants with First Leaf. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/bigthing to sign up, and you're going to get your first 6 hand-curated bottles for just $44.95. tryfirstleaf.com/bigthing. tryfirstleaf.com/bigthing. You will be thanking me. This is awesome. I always get excited when I get a chance to talk about AG1. You guys know, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I've been talking about them. I've been drinking them now for, it's got to be at least 2 years. I started drinking AG1. I think Brett Sheridan told me about it. I said, you can't mess around with this, man. You got to try it. And I did. And it's a foundational nutritional supplement that supports your body's universal needs like gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. Since 2010, AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health. I've heard so many different people now talking about it since we've been talking about it on this show and how much AG1 has helped them. I talk to you guys, a lot of you guys, when we talk to do my one-on-one sessions that I do with people that go, yeah, I started doing AG1 and I love it. It gives me the energy that I need. Parents, I found new parents love this stuff. But everybody loves it. And not only for me did I replace my multivitamin with AG1, because I was never the multivitamin guy. I would try it, and I was like, everyone's telling me, you got to do multivitamins, and I can't do that many vitamins. 1 scoop. I put it in a water bottle. I put it in a zoo cup. I shake it up. I'm good to go. I recommended AG1 to everybody, my friends, my family, you guys, and it's worked out. It's great. I get energy. I get a pep in my step. I love AG1, and you guys know how long I've been talking about it. People still, they'll tweet, and they'll X, whatever they X me, and they say, hey,
AG1, you've been talking about it forever. I'm trying it today, and they never go back. AG1 is the supplement that I trust to provide the support that my body needs daily, and that's why they've been a partner for a long time now. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. But you have to go to drinkag1.com/big thing. drinkag1.com/big thing. Check it out.
All right. Thank you to our friends over at First Leaf and AG1. Had somebody yesterday reach out and say, "Hey, thank you so much for everything that you do, and I want to get you a Christmas present. Where PO box?" And I said, "Don't worry about Christmas presents for me, and I appreciate that so much, and it is so kind and is so generous. But I'll tell you what, this is why we have these sponsors, because you get something. So you know what would help? You get a sponsor. You get something that you enjoy, whether it's First Leaf, whether it's AG1, and you get that. That will help out the show. That will get you something too." And it really does benefit the show tremendously. I mean, I can't tell you. Like, that's one of the reasons we're able to do what we do. We have everybody on here. So thank you to everybody. All right, let's talk about this Aquaman trailer, y'all. I don't ever say y'all. I don't know if I ever will after that. Y'all. I can't do it. Not against anybody who does. I can't do y'all. No, I was going to do something dirty, but I'm not doing that. I said no. Where is this Aquaman thing? There it is. All right, the new trailer hit. Aquaman Lost Kingdom, and as I said, I'm not going to get too much into it because we covered it briefly beforehand, but this trailer dropped. The first one dropped, and it's James Wan, it's Jason Momoa. Amber Heard nowhere to be seen in this trailer. Now, what they'll tell you is, it was only a minute and a half. They didn't have enough time. We know. We understand. The first trailer I felt was definitely more campier. They were resting on the laurels of Jason Momoa's personality. He's got a big personality. I thought he was really funny on Saturday Night Live. I didn't necessarily think a lot of the stuff that they wrote was very funny, but I thought he was very funny, and I thought he was good, and I think he commits in everything that he does, and I think that's why we like him. He's likable, and even as big as his ass is, you're like, oh, that guy is fucking cool, right? He's a cool Aquaman. That's why they made him cool. They made Aquaman cool. Aquaman was never cool. They made Aquaman cool. And Jason Momoa made him cool. So they really relied on that in the first trailer. So the second trailer hits, and they start. And when I had seen him with the baby, I'm like, oh, here we go. Thor: Love and Thunder. And they didn't. It's just him being a loving father, telling him his kid that he's going to basically, he's going to teach him the ropes, show him the ropes, and do all these different things. And you see these relationships. But then, and it's to sound like a broken record, it's like the stuff that I saw in Ms. Marvel and the stuff that I saw in Blue Beetle, like that family stuff is the stuff that to me I find intriguing and fun. I was like, oh, let me hear more about the story with the brother and more with his dad and the kid and that stuff. Sure. But then they're going to get into the generic villain comes in, and the villain's good, but the villain himself storyline is generic. It's like, okay, here we go. Same shit. Okay, he's going to try to take over Atlantis, and he's going to try to take down the brothers, and the brothers got to band together, and yada, yada, yada. Who cares? However, I'm hoping it's good. I want it to be good. I want to come back and go, guys, remember we talked about how generic that looked? It was the farthest thing from it. I couldn't believe it. And that's the other thing. I'm not going to say that there aren't people that do this. So you see, I saw it. I didn't see it that much. I did see it a few times on the comments when it came to like the Marvels, and people were like, oh, well, you went into that movie already expecting to hate it. I think that's just was like, something in this person's back pocket, that anyone that didn't like it, they threw that down, because that wasn't the case for me. I didn't like the trailers. I didn't think it looked very good, but I didn't want to hate it. I wanted it to be good. I want these movies to be good. There's nobody that did anything to me that I root for these things to fail. But if a movie doesn't look good, you shouldn't be afraid to say it. You shouldn't be afraid if you don't like something. You can say it. You should say it in a way that you break it down and go, here are the reasons why I don't. You shouldn't hate movies or people who make movies. To hate them is ridiculous. Hate. But you should be able to express why you didn't like something. And it's the same with this trailer. This trailer looked better. I'm going in crossing my fingers. Why? Because as I stated, I like Momoa and I love James Wan. So I'm hoping that it comes down to the fact we're just going to say this trailer did not do it justice. Edge of Tomorrow style. This was a really good movie. Way better than the first one. Everyone should see it. That's what I want my out of the theater to be. I want to walk out and go, guys, I told you this thing looked generic, and it wasn't. It was fun. It was funny. It had a lot of heart to it. Momoa was the best he's ever been. It's a bummer that this character can't continue. That's what I want it to be. I don't feel like it's going to be that, but I want it to be that. So yeah, that's really where we are with it. And I get excited for these other things. I do on the Patreon, by the way. And like I said, if you haven't joined, there's a lot of different goals, and we're closer. We're about 200 away from Mike Kalinowski doing 5 minutes of stand-up, which will be amazing. Once we get to 600, he'll do that. But if you're over there, I'm doing this. I do this series called What I'm Watching, and it just really goes over everything. I just finished The Killer with David Fincher. I'll talk about that over there. I watched X-Men Days of Future Past again. I've been watching all these different shows and movies, and I'm going to I'll go into all that, but I've been watching a lot of 80s stuff, and this is the type of stuff I really like to talk about as well too, because it's again, as I was mentioning beforehand, how things can be different, and you go, oh, that's different. That's different. Like we were talking about with Echo. And I think that when the switch to like the 80s movies of having Axel Foley come back. Now, I don't know. I'm not super confident about it, but I'm excited for it. Nostalgia is absolutely, this is what they're going for. This is what they want. Nostalgia is the major thing for me there. And I love the first movie. It's one of my, and I like the second movie too, but I love the first movie. And will they get to that place? I have extreme doubts that they will, because 80s is just a different type of filmmaking, and the way that what they were able to capture back then. And Eddie Murphy was in his early 20s or something when they made that movie. So here's the report overall. This is the report of I think I did a screenshot for this, guys. Yeah, I have it somewhere. Let me bring up the picture. But I want to talk a little bit about this movie, Beverly Hills Cop. This is the first image that they have for Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley is what's called, very similar, like Rambo or Jason Bourne, as we were just talking about. The first Beverly Hills Cop 4 pictures arrived. I think it's Entertainment Weekly, maybe. Oh, sorry, no, Empire. Empire published the first photos from Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy reprises his role as Axel Foley in the new Beverly Hills Cop, which sees the return of Judge Reinhold. That's awesome. John Ashton, Paul Reiser, and Bronson Pinchot. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. That's great. Among others coming from the film. That's great. Mark Malloy is directing off a script by Will Beall. Bruckheimer and Chad Oman are producing. The first 3 movies grossed to combine $616.2 million worldwide. There's a picture. It says Beverly Hills Cop. It's coming to Netflix. Oh, it's coming to Netflix. Okay. All right. Not bad. And they said every day he's out there, it throws you back to the 80s. Producer Jerry Bruckheimer tells Empire Magazine. It's always pretty brilliant. Okay, Netflix. I thought it was a theatrical. Smart. Put it on Netflix. It's going to crush. Put it on Netflix. It's going to crush. All the other stuff that's out there, they're very smart. And you can put it in a release Netflix theater. Amazing. Because unfortunately, again, back to the 80s, these types of movies don't do very well in the theater these days, whether they're good or not. They just don't, because of idiots like me going, I'll watch it on streaming. I'll see it on streaming. It looks like a streaming movie to me, because it's got to be worth it. It's got to be worth spending that money. I guess that's the other thing I'll talk about in a second here. I saw Wish. I didn't get a chance. I didn't do it out of the theater, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I saw Wish, and I went and I saw the screening with my 2 daughters. So I was just thinking, though, I'm like, every time you take your family to a movie, or it's gonna hit you in the pocket. And especially if you're LA or New York, it's gonna hit you in the pocket, big time. If you have a family of 4, family of 5, shit, man, it's like going to a restaurant. It's like now the tickets are so expensive, what they used to be. So you want to make sure, again, just circling back to what we said before, You want to make sure that these things make sense and they're not something that you could watch on streaming or you feel like I'd rather watch that on streaming. It whether we like it or not, streaming has changed the game dramatically. And I used to think like where there was one of these I never thought theater experience would go away. It just never will. The theater experience will never go away. Even if it's not now I'm not saying theater chains like AMC and so other ones might eventually change hands, buy each other out, all that stuff. That's always possible in business. But the theater experience alone, it'll never go away. It's just now a much different it's a much different situation of why you go to the movies. So Beverly Hills Cop to me, I'm very excited to see that movie. That's one when it hits that day, I'll be watching, probably doing like an immediate reaction on my channel, whether nobody watches it or not, just for myself to do it because I love it. And I don't know, I haven't looked in the comments yet. If you guys are excited about seeing this, do you care? Do you not care? Is it because it's on Netflix? You'll check it out. Go ahead and comment. Tell me exactly what you think. And like I said, if you're in the comments section and you throw in those super chats, I saw a bunch of them come in. When I finish all the topics, I'm going to go through it and I'm going to I'll go through all the super chats and I'll stay on for as long as you guys want me here for sure. We are going to be shooting a UAP Tuesday with myself and Mark Riley and Attack Peter. We're going to do a StreamYard one again today. So the three of us can do it. There's a big for the people who have been watching the UAP thing. There's something huge that happened this week, so we're excited to talk about that tomorrow. So make sure you join us. All right, I'm going to keep going here. And as I said, where was the other one? Was this the other one? Oh, I'll talk about this. Let me talk about this. I forgot about this. Speaking of Marvel, this was brought up, and I think this is actually Campy actually broke this. What is this? Where is it? Hold on. There's a few different stories. And there's this Creed, also this shit, man. There's a ton of stories today. But from what they said, apparently, Mads Mikkelsen is rumored to be to be Dr. Doom. That was the one. Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen rumored to be Dr. Doom. And I guess where the hell is it? I can't find it. I saw it on Dark Horizons, but from what I read, if I can remember correctly, Campy said that he had heard that they were in talks, not in particular, not that he was offered the role yet, but that he was in talks and that they wanted him, right? So for me, I hate this. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think that if it is true, now I love Mads Mikkelsen. Love Mads Mikkelsen. Here it is. This is the finally found the report. Let me read the report first, and then I'll tell you why I hate it. This is a new report, from John Campia that says that former Hannibal star Mads Mikkelsen is being eyed for a role in Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four, Dr. Doom. Campia says that what his source says is that Marvel has talked to Mads Mikkelsen, and he said, to be clear, I'm sure they talked to a dozen people. They did not tell me that Mads has been cast, not at all, but they were confirming to me that Mads is one of the people that they talked to. Mikkelsen has already played the lead villain of Doctor Strange, hence my reason for hating it, in the role of Celsius through Marvel. And Marvel has cast the same actor multiple roles before. Added to this, Doom is likely going to be behind the mask. Yeah, but what if he's not? And they want to reveal him. Is there one list that Marvel has? Is there one list? And they go, hey, you know what we need for fantastic? Gyllenhaal. He's been in our MCU already. Let's get him for Fantastic Four. Let's get that guy. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. He's been in the MCU already. Let's get him. There's tons of people out there. I love Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen is a great villain. He's a great villain. He was great in Rogue One as the not villain. He's great. I love Mads Mikkelsen. Anytime he's around, he elevates the project. Come on. You don't need him. And maybe it makes more sense if it is Pedro Pascal. Is more in the age range. But come on. No, give it to somebody else that you're not expecting it. Give it to a different person who can kind of tap into the dark side that usually plays good guys. Now, I said that with I love the choice of either Henry Cavill or Ryan Gosling or those types of people to play it, like normally good guys who can switch it. Don't give me the traditional bad guy, and don't give me a guy that's been a villain in your freaking MCU already. That was stupid. And I love Mads Mikkelsen. Oh, he was wearing a mask. Who gives a shit? It's still the same guy. Whether he's not, he's been in it already. He's been in it already. Give it to somebody else. Like, I hate it. I hate that. I hope that it's absolutely not true. And again, nothing against Matt Mikkelsen. I think he's brilliant. He's and even though it wasn't a very well written role, he was fantastic in the Indiana Jones movie. Love him. Love him. He's great. Hate that idea. It's stupid. And I really hope that they don't do it. I think it's a stupid idea. But I don't know how you guys feel about it. It just seems like it's just the same. I mean, he's played like that role a billion times over, and like, oh, we don't know anybody else that can play bad guys. Get Mads Mikkelsen. There's tons of other people. Get somebody who's not done it. Go against it. Don't typecast. Go against it. Do something different. Again, different. I think it is that's terrible. Really terrible. But who knows? Like he said, they're just talking to people, so we don't know how it's close or not close. All right, speaking of Disney movies and everything too, so I saw Wish over the weekend with my daughters, and so we went and we saw it, and I had heard kind of mixed things about it, so I was waiting, and it's funny, and the reason I didn't do my out of the theater reaction, the honest answer is I was walking out of the theater and I had my kid. I've done an out of the theater with my oldest before, not her on camera, but her with me as we were going to see. I think it was Little Mermaid. She was standing right next to me when I was doing it. But it's very hard to manage both of them when I'm doing it. So that was part one. Part two is my daughter, my oldest, goes, if you don't love it, don't do it in front of me. Because the two of them loved it. And for this one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about it on Monday. I'll talk about it when I do a review of it. I feel like I'm overusing this word today, but it's fine. It's fine. It's like, again, it's like people gave it like it's kind of, I mean, the criticisms that I saw, I can't really argue with. It is a bit generic. It is, them hitting you over the head with the fact that it's the 100-year anniversary and here's all these other characters and things of that. And then music's just okay. The musical performances are fantastic. The performances of Chris Pine and Ariana DeBose are great. But it's just, you just seen the movie. It's like, it's just not, it doesn't, I guess because of what this movie's about, pun intended, the magic isn't there fully, but this is where it's harder for me as a dad. My kids loved it. My both my 12-year-old and my 6-year-old, they loved it. They were playing the soundtrack from the second we left till we got home. They were singing it in the living room. They were acting it out. They were looking for shirts and shit that they wanted, that those Christmas would love this, we love that already. So it worked on them. They loved it. And that's really what it comes down to. It's like, as I mentioned to you before, if you are looking to go, there's not a lot of stuff that I can take my 6-year-old to see in the movie theater. There's not a lot of stuff. Like, this is one, Trolls we saw, Paw Patrol. There's not a lot of stuff I can take her right now that's in the movie theater. So when a movie comes out, I'm like, okay, let's go check it out. And if she's satisfied and my 12-year-old is satisfied, then I'm satisfied. It works. I'm like, okay, that's that. But it's a very different situation than somebody who loves animation that just wants to go see an animated movies and loves these Disney movies and leaves and doesn't have kids and leaves and goes, just a little underwhelmed. Totally fair. Completely understand it. But as I said, I felt that way going, it's fine. But then I looked down, I see my 6-year-old smiling, and I was like, okay, good movie, worked for me. Because she's smiling. It did its purpose. It served its purpose. But can I say that this is a really good, I can say it's a good movie? It's, if you're just going to see it, if you want to take your family to see it, do it. If you want to be blown away by a movie, save it for streaming. And you just watch it and go, that was fine. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Just, I think that the criticisms and the reviews have been fair for it, if that says anything. I think that's everything, right? Might be another one. We'll see if there's any other stories in here. I see all the super chats coming in. I want to get to all of them. Is there anything else that I'm missing? If there is anything that I didn't cover today that you want to cover, then let's do it. Before I get into the questions, we'll do the questions now. So fire in all the questions now. And before I do, also want to tell you both about nuts.com and Nutrafol, because you guys know I love both of them. So I'll tell you about both of them, and then we'll get to the questions. Here we go.
This is the best. Nuts. Get off my nuts. Don't touch my nuts. I love these nuts. I love them. Listen, you ever been to a candy store? You ever been to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory? Probably not the last one, but you can get something close. Check this out, nuts.com. Maybe you can't get to the chocolate factory, but I'll get you close enough. The online version of that is nuts.com. Besides just having a lot of great nuts, they have classic candies. They got butterscotch, they got fudge, and licorice. Cashews, almonds, pecans, pistachios, dried mango, crystallized ginger, dates, jelly beans, jawbreakers, root beer barrels. It goes on and on and on at nuts.com. I was so excited to have them come along. I mean, look at that. That's what I got. That's what I've been eating. That's what I've been chewing on. Yeah, and even that little fat pug that I love so much, he loves it too. Although he can't really eat nuts, but he loves smelling them. Nuts.com is your one-stop shop for freshly roasted nuts, dried fruits, sweets, pantry staples like specialty flours, and much more. They have a wide selection. It means that there's something for everyone. At nuts.com, quality, top priority. They roast their nuts and they pop their corn the same day that it ships. They reach you deliciously fresh. Satisfaction is guaranteed, and I can be a testament. Right now, I'm snacking on these because I love these almonds. They're really good. And I know, not ideal when you're telling people about stuff to have food in your face, but I can't stand it to keep them away from me. They're right in front of my face. I have to eat nuts.com. So again, stay away from my nuts. Get your own nuts. Nuts.com. So listen to this deal. Right now, nuts.com is offering new customers a free gift with purchase and free shipping on orders for $29 or more at nuts.com/bigthing. So if you check out all the delicious options at nuts.com/bigthing, you're going to get a free gift and free shipping if you spend $29 or more. Nuts.com/bigthing. Yes, there are a lot more nuts jokes I could have made. Don't be embarrassed. Don't do it. Listen, did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, guys. But it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free, patented technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. Go to Nutrafol.com/men to take their hair wealth wellness quiz. Identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through whole body wellness. It works. In a clinical study, 84% of men showed improvement in their hair after 6 months taking Nutrafol men's hair growth supplements. Everybody feels this way as you're getting older. You're like, oh man, am I the only one? Why is this happening to me? This and that. We're in an age now where you can get it helped. You can get it fixed. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men, but you have to enter that promo code BIGTHING. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men. Nutrafol.com/men and enter that code BIGTHING. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code BIGTHING.
All right. Thank you to our friends over at nuts.com and Nutrafol. Once again, guys, if you're able to, you have the means to, with the holiday season coming up, you want to support the show, you want to get something cool for yourself, then consider one of our wonderful sponsors. Thank you, guys. All right. So now, speaking of which, you guys have thrown in your super chats. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different things, and let's get to it. We're going to start with the great Tim Sim. Tim's the man. Tim's been around since forever, but I remember him the most from the Schmodown days, of course. But Tim says, other than the film itself, what external factors do you think affected the Marvel's box office, from possibly repercussions of systematic issues with overproducing MCU content to the actor strike affecting promotions? I think all that stuff was relevant, Tim. Everything you just mentioned there. I think that the fact that, and I do think that even though they're not part of the same brand, whether it's to the casual viewer, they don't pay attention to Marvel, what's DC, what's, whatever. It's like, okay, Black Adam just came out, The Flash just came out, this came out. It's like, I don't care. I don't care if unless it's something I really want to see. I don't care. I think that had something to do with it. I think that it was the strike for sure, not being able to promote. I think it was the fact that there was just a lot of it. And going back into what I said right now with DC and these other things, and I think that that to me, and it's the mediocre stuff right now. It really is. It's like it's not, and it's not even necessarily like you said, not the film itself, but like the idea that it's just not in that. It's not in the golden era right now. It's not to say it can't get back. It's not to say like everyone's, oh, it's dead. Don't say that. People there's comebacks all the time, and there's ways to do it, and there's ways to improve. The question is, can you see and understand what's wrong, and get better from it, and don't stick. Sometimes people stick to a plan, even if the plan ain't working. The plan doesn't seem to be working. So what I will say though, and Coy said this, and I don't know if he said it on the air or we were talking about it at lunch. I can't remember. But he did say that The Marvels is really the last movie inside of that game plan that they were playing in when they thought this is where we wanted to go with. It was already done. It was they had all these things that they already had shot, and it was of all the other things that weren't working, it was part of that plan. 2024 is the clean slate for them. But they're going to start with Echo. Now, Echo's dumping all one shot in January, one shot, 6 episodes. If it delivers and it puts a good taste in people's mouth, we're like, whoa, what the hell was that? That's great. And then Deadpool comes out. And then they have the opportunity to build on Captain America. Maybe, I don't know, they said they might reevaluate both that and Thunderbolts and how they're going to, the scripts, and make some changes to it. And the same thing, they're doing the same thing with Deadpool. So I think it goes into all that stuff that you mentioned for sure. So again, Tim, thank you so much for bringing in that wonderful super chat. Again, I'll get to all of them. I'll stay on as long as you guys want me to. I know there's a ton of them already that are coming in, so let's do it. Tim follows up. Thank you, Tim. Again, too. Tim, thank you so much, man. Very nice. As for the film, I had great fun with it, and there was nothing special with the writing and characters. It sufficiently worked for me with 3 leads carrying the film, especially Mon. I mean, she was great. She was great. 3.2 out of 5. Sorry that the film didn't work for you. Can I thank you for the way that you poised that question? That's just the way you put that statement in there. Thank you for that. Thank you for the maturity in it. Thank you for that's how I wish people would talk to each other. I guarantee you that if I was standing next to you and we had a conversation about it, we probably agree on 15 or 20% of this movie. But I feel like the way that we would address it to each other, eye to eye together, is the same way that you just did that in that super chat. And that, my friend, is rare. That is rare in the way that people can say, look, all right, you didn't like it. You didn't call me any names. You didn't call any accusations of why I didn't like it. You just said, I'm sorry, it didn't work for you. It was fun for me. I had a good time. Good on you, Tim. And I'm glad you enjoyed it as well, too. And I agree with you. I think your mom was fantastic in it. It just, I had a lot more problems with it than you did, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you. Respect. All right, next one, Mike Joyce. Do you think that Marvel will overreact and write out Captain Marvel from the MCU? No, they wouldn't do that. The opposite. I think that the opposite. I think the overreacting would be that they would try to do another one. I think that you got to. I think that the Captain Marvel movies are Dunsky for now. Now that's not to say forever. You can have the character. I don't know how you do it. You have to do it with writing, but like basically come back the way that they should have done it. Captain Marvel should have they waited too long. That was another thing, Tim, to answer your previous question. I think they waited too long to do a sequel also. But writing her out of the MCU, now there is another scenario where Brie Larson decides she doesn't want to do it anymore, and they decide they don't want to, and then they just decide not to recast the character. That's certainly possible. There was nothing inside of this movie. Well, I mean, there was nothing inside of this movie in particular that has to see Carol Danvers return. There isn't. But to write her out because it didn't do well, nah. I don't think anyone's pointing their finger at Brie Larson and saying that it's her fault. I certainly am not. I don't think it's not Brie Larson's fault that this movie didn't do well. I actually thought she was pretty good in the movie, but I liked her better in this one than I did in the first one. But no, I don't think I do not think they would overreact. I think that would be absolutely silly if because of the box office they blame it on her. They can't blame it on her. Simon Section. Thank you, Simon. How are you, man? Thank you for that nice super chat as well. Just saw your out of the theater reaction for Iron Claw. I'm almost worried to ask you where you fit this movie compared to Air, that Matt Damon monologue, and yes, that shot of MJ father got to me. Yeah, so different movies, very different movies. I think Air. So, and I will say this too, because I talked to Chris Van Vliet about Iron Claw a little bit afterwards too, and we were talking about the movie, and he had, I don't know if I'm still under embargo, by the way. I think I might be under that movie, so I want to be careful with how much I say. But I will say that there were certain criticisms that I've talked to certain people about the movie that I agree with. The movie hit me in a very different way, and as I said in my out of the theater reaction, and if you know the Von Erich story, I lost a brother a few years back, and I thought Zac Efron was fantastic, and then I'll kind of stop there as I get too much into it because I don't want to break embargo. But it's a very powerful movie for sure. And they have two very different tones, both Air and the Iron Claw. I love Air. I've seen Air twice, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It just flows. I think it's one of Ben Affleck's best in a little bit as far as directing. And I think that it's a bummer that it came out so early because I think it's going to get ignored in the race. You know, I'm not going to mention the movie in particular, but I am watching what I want to do is, it's different from the years past. I'm trying to watch as many of the potential Oscar movies or the ones that are in the conversation, because I want to put together my top 10 list by the end of the year. And I won't do out of the theater reactions or reviews for these movies. I'll just do straight up put them on the list or not put them on the list. But there's one movie, and I have to be, I've watched 15 minutes of it. I have to go back and finish it, but there's a particular movie that everybody's talking about, and I'm just like, it's such an Oscar bait movie, and it's so far. I could turn around and say that I love it, but it's such like the second it started, my wife bailed on it like immediately, and I was like, it's just like, just from the way it's shot and the way everything is just like, and it wind up getting nominated for a bunch of stuff. It's like, what are the Academy Awards really about, though? Is it really just about this sect of people? It's not about the general audience. It just isn't, because there's certain movies, like this particular movie that's getting buzz, that my dad would see, but what the hell was that? And that's the type of, like, it's not for the general audience. These movies, the awards are not for the general audience. They're for like just this group and hardcore film fans, because it should be about everyone. It should be about, it's not, though. They can bullshit you and tell you that it's about everybody that loves it's about everybody who goes and sees movies, and that's why people watch less and less and less. The general audience, they're watching less because it's not for them, and they know it. They know it. I'm telling you, like, again, I have to be fair. I'm going to finish this movie, and then I could say, look, I watched this movie and actually it was really, really good. But the first like 10 minutes of it, I'm like, oh my God, this is just like pretentious as shit. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, let me keep going here. Keep it going. But I loved Air and I loved Iron Claw, both of them. All right, thank you guys. I see more super chats coming in. Like I said, I'm gonna get to all of them. Tim coming in hot again. Last thing to note: I've been recently thinking how I'm enjoying this post-Endgame MCU content more than several I know who hasn't, outside of Secret Invasion, which did disappoint me. I find myself mentally alone with this. I don't think you're alone, my man. I'm not in that boat with you. I do think that it's been fairly disappointing and subpar. Me again, but I think there's a lot of people who, I mean, especially a lot of people in this film community who are very happy with a lot of this stuff. I see people like, people that I am looking at, I look at their takes, and like we talked about before, I'll respect the take, but I'm like, I don't agree with anything you just said. But there's a lot of people that are in your boat that are enjoying it for sure. I just think that I just don't think they know what they're doing right now. I think they're just kind of all over the place. But this is the same thing, like when it comes to like Star Wars or anything. If you like it, my man, then good. If you get excited for it when it comes out, who gives a shit? if anybody else likes it. Who cares if you're mentally alone on it? Because this is something like I said to my daughter, who's 12 years old and is getting into that place that we all got into when we were, 11 or 12, worried about what our friends or our peers are going to think about if we like certain things. I remember when I liked wrestling when I was a kid, and people gave me shit about it when I was younger. And I said, if you like something, don't worry about what this person says or what they say. If they don't like it, they're making you feel bad about it. It's not about them. It's whether you like it. If you like it, you enjoy it. Who gives a shit? If you're on an island all by yourself, well, guess what? Then it's more for you. So don't worry about that, man. Yeah, but you're not alone though. I'll tell you that. You're definitely not alone. There's a lot of people who love what they're doing for sure. It's just that the narrative, I think, has gotten stronger because it just hasn't been as many people. Is that you again, Tim? Tim, dude. And after seeing diminishing returns more on the MCU, I agree that they need to scale back on content and scale back the budgeting. I'm feeling both curious but nervous about what changes they'll have to do. And I think that goes back to hit your point, Tim, on what you just said. I think it also goes back to your previous thing. One of the things is that these overinflated budget goes back to what I was saying, where they were in this old regime, spend. This movie was 250 or 300 million plus the marketing that's going to lose money. And if you got to start making these movies, like we were just talking about, like Bourne Identity and something, scale back on these movies, scale back on them, make them look like $125 million movies, which is not a big price tag anymore. Even $125 million to you or I sounds like a lot of money, but to a movie budget, 125 is a good goal to set. Stop getting greedy and trying to hit that $1 billion target. It is harder and harder to do. It was a very rare thing when we were in that 2016 to 19 range and movies were hitting it like left and right. It's very hard to do. Cut it out. Stop trying to hit it with the $300 million budget. It's greedy, and it is completely destroying the product. And so by spending, there's no world where this movie should have cost $250 million to make. Come on. Because the argument in the room will be, well, the last one made $1 billion. It was a very different time. And I think because of movies like this and Indiana Jones and The Flash and all these, the budgets are going to, and Iger said as much for Disney, they're going to cut it down. They're going to cut these budgets down. And I think we're going to benefit from it. So do agree that the budgets need to come down tremendously. But Tim, thank you so much. You sent in a majority of the super chats today. So thank you so much, my friend. Jim 1. Could plans for Young Avengers get scrapped due to the box office for Marvel's MCU might focus on less risky projects like Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four? So that's what they should do. And I mentioned it earlier. Scrapped is different for me. I would say don't scrap it, but make it Disney Plus, or put it in whether it's a special event movie for Disney Plus or a TV show, and then have them pop up in certain movies and things like that. Great. I think focusing in on, unless you're going to make one for like $50 or $60 million, then take a shot. But if you're going to try to do $150, $200 million with the Young Avengers, I think it's a mistake. I do think that they are in a zone right now, or not a zone, but I think they're in a place right now where they need to say, we have to focus in on things that are going to make us money. And I think Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, those are the things you got. There's no all-stars right now. You got to build the all-stars. So yes, I think that scrapped, no, but streaming, yes. And I think that's a benefit for a lot of people too, where normally in the past, it's like, we're not going through with that anymore. You'll never see that ever again. They have a chance now to live on streaming. So yeah. Okay. Thank you guys. Everybody's putting in a ton of stuff here. Johnny Venerable, Young Avengers would be a disastrous idea. Why are we getting away from the adult serious themes that made MCU success? Got this phase and pivot. Yeah, I agree. And I think that you say it in a way, what you're saying here again, a harsh way, but a good way. I don't think you're saying anything that a business person wouldn't say. The themes in the past did work. The idea of again, it's why I mentioned Echo when everyone went, no, who was excited for Echo? Who was excited for that show before you saw the trailer? And once they changed it up, made it serious, made you like, whoa, what the hell is that? now you're interested because it looks serious. It looks good. Now, I'm not saying everything needs to be so dark and violent in those types of things, but when you have a singing and dancing scene in the middle, and I'm supposed to take this serious, it's like, I'm not, this is cats eating things. And I'm not, this isn't serious anymore. Well, it's fun, but they can't afford that right now. They can't afford it's just fun right now. They're trying to get people when you're crushing on all levels, then you can do it's fun. Like focusing on what's the actual story, what's the stakes, what is it? So yeah, I think again, when it comes to Young Avengers, I think you can still do it, and you can still have a good tone if you, as I heard myself say it, A, streaming television show, B, streaming movie, C, $60 million budget movie. Because you could probably make some money on a $60 million budget movie. Okay. Carlton Rudder. Thank you, Carlton. Do you think that the MCU's decision to possibly steer away from Kang is a result of majors, or is it more to do with the lackluster audience reactions? I think it's a bit of both. I think that they introduced Kang. Well, they introduced He Who Remains in Loki season 1, but they introduced the Kang variant that's supposed to be scary in Ant-Man, and it failed miserably. It failed where it was like, again, Ant-Man and ants ultimately beat him, and he wasn't scary at all. And then they show a bunch of screaming Kangs in arena that played more goofy than it did terrorizing. So it didn't work. They should have, the way that they introduced He Who Remains, that was terrifying the first time. And I thought even what they did with He Who Remains in season 2 was great. But I think the stuff that's going on with majors absolutely is a factor for sure. Plus the fact that he hasn't, it's like the general audience is going, whoa, what's going to happen with Kang? Everybody was saying that with Thanos. It's like, who the hell was that guy? Oh no. And that guy showed up. Wait, what the hell's this with the glove? Oh shit. Things are going bad for our people. So yeah, I think that it's kind of a mixture of all of that, to be honest with you. Jim 1. It would suck if Iman Vellani or Bree's career suffered due to the Marvels. Hollywood's a tough place sometimes, like Gina Davis or Cutthroat Island. After Cutthroat Island. Well, yeah, Cutthroat Island, though, very different situation. And she also did, I think she was married to Rennie Harlan at the time, and he got her to do the movie, but she still has persevered as a icon and all these things. But yeah, it different time back then for movies and how certain people got jobs and things too. But Iman Vellani, I think, is not going to suffer at all. She has been, no matter anybody, somebody who loved the movie or somebody who didn't like it, like myself, I have not heard one person, even people who hate, like literally hate because it's their brand to do so. I have not heard them talk shit about Iman Vellani. No one has talked shit about Iman Vellani. You can't. She's so freaking likable. She's such a presence. She's wonderful. She's not going to suffer. Now, will it maybe scale back on how much they use Kamala Khan? Maybe. But again, this is why I kind of push the notion of the streaming movie, because if they can do a movie with her, it'll do well. A streaming movie with her as the lead. So she's not going to suffer. And Brie Larson's not going to suffer. I mean, that's the thing. Brie Larson is a fantastic actress. Room is great. She's already got another series on Netflix or something too. Now, is it going, maybe it'll sour her as far as doing these big budget studio things, but Brie Larson will be fine also. But yeah, but I understand what you're saying. Hollywood is tougher, but this is not one of those things. This is not one of those things, this particular scenario. Smokey Vandross, how would you feel if Ben Affleck joined Marvel as a director? Second, I always got to blaze one before a movie. What's your movie watching ritual? Go Cowboys. Oh, you had me until Go Cowboys. I don't know how the freaking how the Giants are still beating Washington. I don't know how they did that. Ellis, poor guy. So Affleck joining Marvel. I mean, yeah, it depends on what it was, right? And it depends on the thing that he was going to do and what movie he was going to direct. And I'd like to see Ben Affleck doing movies like Air, though. I really do. I think that's where he really thrives. I think that's what he loves to do. I think he loves to do movies like that. I like to see him do his own things and these other kind of stories. And I'd rather him not. It'd be great if they got him. We'd be like, oh, they got Affleck. Of course, I'd be excited. He's a great director. So it'd be great to have him. My ritual for movies, it's different because I go to these screenings now. It's so funny. I saw somebody. It got to realize that when people find the channel from the out of theater reactions, and I saw this one guy, and he was there to be a douche, the first comment was, "How did you review this? It's not even out yet." This is my favorite. And I was like, it was an early screening. I saw it as an early screening. Well, you don't have to brag about it. You blah, blah, blah. And he started screaming at me. I was like, fuck off. Threw him out of the store. But I got a kick out of it, to be honest. But my ritual is usually, because of the screenings are different than when you buy a ticket. Most places you reserve a seat. You can get there right as the trailers are starting or after, and sit down and you're good to go. You don't lose your seat. At the screenings, they're not reserved seats. So I usually always get there half an hour, so I have time to half an hour early, so I have time to chill out, breathe. If I need to have any emails, whatever. I just want to relax before the movie starts. Get my, I'll usually send a picture out of the movie I'm about to see, and then I just kind of chill. If I'm gonna have a snack, normally, I mean, they give you popcorn sometimes, but and that was never. Ellis was always the big popcorn guy. I'm more so pretzels and cheese. I haven't been doing it as much, but pretzel and cheese. And I guess the one thing I have been doing, they have it at AMC, and maybe I'm the only person that gets it, but for some reason I like vanilla ginger ale. You could say yuck, it's fine, but I like it. I don't know why, and that's what I do. Okay, moving on. Thank you again to everybody who's putting in these questions, and there's tons of them. Screwface Gene, I'm glad that you put another one in there, man, because I saw your last one, and Brett and I were so excited. And then I saw in the comments, it was like, holy shit, Screwface Gene. And then I checked out your channel. Dude, your channel is the shit. And I thank you so much for putting in a super chat, B, for checking it out. And I appreciate it. Congratulations on all the stuff you're doing on your channel too. Screwface Gene, I've been on here since Schmoes. That's very kind. You said you don't think superhero fatigue is the issue. It's more about mediocrity fatigue. But Loki was good and the viewership fell off hard towards the end. You don't think that superhero fatigue is playing any role? No. I do. I do for sure. When it comes to, I think that mediocrity also lends to that whole notion of like the average viewer, right? Like the average viewer or casual viewer rather, that's going to look and say, okay, why do I need to see this? Why do I need to watch this? And it's like, this has been just subpar. This has been subpar. And that adds to, like you're saying, fatigue, right? But I think that the overall that nobody wants to see superhero stuff anymore. I'm just over superhero things. I don't want to see it anymore. The Loki thing is different, right? And streaming shows are different because you can't measure the streaming the same way you measure movies. Because look at something like Andor. People still will throw out silly statements like, well, Andor didn't do very well in the ratings. Andor did very well after a period of time because you have streaming. You have it. You have the service. So someone who didn't watch Loki 2 weeks ago, with all the buzz that keeps coming out about Loki, might watch it 2 weeks from today. And they might continue to watch it because of the buzz that it keeps getting, because people loved the show and because it was clever. And streaming is very different than where opening weekend of a movie, Marvel's is done for. It's just done for. It's not going to have like a wave of people that are going to go see it and save it in the box office. It's toast. Now it could have a second life on streaming, but because you have that streaming service, there's more time and opportunity for streaming to build off of buzz. But your initial question of, yeah, but nobody really rushed out to see it. Do I think that it was because everything has been mediocre so far? People are like, I don't know, Loki, it's fine. I don't love what Marvel's doing right now. I think it's a mixture of that. Marvel just hasn't been putting out good stuff right now, because Guardians did well, and that wasn't superhero fatigue. Black Panther 2 did well. That wasn't superhero fatigue. I mean, shit, Doctor Strange 2 did well, and that movie wasn't that good, and that did well. So it's still, if you give, I mean, look, here's a perfect example of why I don't think superhero fatigue is a thing. Gen V and the boys people are excited about, it's not Marvel, it's not DC, it's superheroes. It's a playoff of them for sure. Invincible, doing well. So there's not a superhero fatigue. It's mediocre. And the same thing, mediocrity, where even though Loki wasn't mediocre, the stuff that came before it was. So people assume that it would be, wrongly, but they assume. So that's why I don't think that it's a total, because if superhero fatigue in general was overall thing was the reason why, then those shows and those shows that I mentioned would also be doing poorly. And Gen V did pretty well, and The Boys, people are pumped for it to come back for it. Invincible's crushing. And thank you again, Screwface Gene, everybody. Go check out his channel. Okay, keep going. Tons of stuff here, guys. Like I said, I'm going to stay on for as long as possible. So I'll be on for a little bit. These shows go a little longer anyway, the live stream shows, and that's fine. And then I gotta hop on and do the UAP show today, which will be up tomorrow. All right, NJR 1984. I saw Priscilla and the Holdovers this weekend. I really like Priscilla, and I love the Holdovers. At first, it sounded like Priscilla and the Holdovers was like a band, but no, I know exactly. People love the Holdovers. I'll be checking that out for sure. And I heard mixed things on Priscilla, but I am going to be seeing both of those movies because those are two of the ones that I want to see that I can potentially put in my top 10 should I love them as much as you do. All right. Thank you guys for everybody who's continuing to put stuff in there. I want to make sure that I didn't skip. Did I skip over anything? I did not. There's more coming in, and I see it. So there's two more that just came in. Holy moly. You guys are crushing. Thank you so much. From Talks Films. Been watching you since Schmoes. Thank you so much. Due to box office failure of the Marvels, do you think Marvel will make another film with Captain Marvel as the main hero? So we kind of talked about that a little while ago in another super chat. I do not think not for a little while, and maybe not at all. But no, I don't think it would be a good move to do that. Now, do I think that's the end of Captain Marvel in the MCU? It shouldn't be. You can still put Captain Marvel in different movies, like you did. I thought she was great in Infinity War and Endgame. So let's do that. So no. Let's see. Next one. Sunday Joe. Christian, so happy for your 100K subs. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. If you were to reboot the MCU, which heroes are you choosing for your first films to spearhead the reboot? I would start with the X-Men, man. I would start with the X-Men in general. If Marvel has the X-Men, I would start with the X-Men right off the bat because it would explain some powers, it would explain the world, it would explain all that. And I just watched Days of Future Past again too, and I really want the X-Men back. And I think that you could do with the X-Men what they did with the Avengers. You do smaller movies, smaller budgets, leading into one big grand event for when you do your first X-Men film. Then you can spend $150, $200 million once you've earned it through the smaller films. So that's what I would do there. I would start with the X-Men for sure. And I'm hoping that's what they're going to do with the phase. Haskell, what up, man? Yo, happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. Thank you. Real Screen Geek is reporting via Snyder's blog that the Silver Surfer is reportedly a woman. Where did the second one go? You have a second one. Okay. And is that second one? Oh, yeah, here's your second one. Okay. Hold on. I don't know if it's male, female, or big balls. I just want a good, great movie and character. If true, the whole MCU ramps up again. Yeah, that's always going to happen in general. I mean, I guess for me, the Silver Surfer is, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, I'm with you. Make it work. Make it seem like I said, as long as I'm all for giving everybody opportunities, just don't force stuff. Just don't force stuff. And if it's not, and if it fits and it makes sense and the writing is good and you're like, who gives a shit? I mean, look at Starbuck. Look at Katie Sackhoff. When they made Starbuck a woman, if that was today, holy shit, people would be losing their minds. And they lost their minds back then, mind you. And this is 2003, whenever that movie came out. People would be losing their minds even more. Twitter would be going crazy. And she owned the role. Owned it, and it made sense, and you understood. They wrote it in a way that you oh yeah, okay, I understand why Starbuck is a woman, and it makes sense that she is. If they do that and they make it work, I'm on board. If it's forced and it feels like, well, why'd they do that? Then I'm like, well, it's a discredit to anybody, like the actor in the role, because you're setting them up for failure. But I'm with you. If it's written the right way, it can work. Musty reviews. Marvel should cut back on their content. I think that they are. It doesn't feel special anymore. I agree. These movies used to feel like an event, and Gunn should cut back on his DC plan. Well, I don't think necessarily cutting back on his DC plan is the way to go, because we don't know how many movies and how many shows per year they're going to get. By the time we get the first Superman movie, it's not going to be until 2025. We're going to get an animated show first, then a movie. So you had one, look, even when Marvel was at its height, when it felt special, like you said, they were still doing 2 movies a year. They were doing a movie in the summer and a movie at the end of the year, and it felt special because it was good. That's the difference. And now we're in a spot, we're in the same spot we were when Star Wars started to try to put out 2 movies, and they weren't both good. They did Solo and Last Jedi within the course of like 6 months. And people were like, this isn't good. So they're overdoing it. It doesn't feel special because it wasn't good. If it was really good and the writing was really good, and you put one out in the summer, you put one out at the end, yeah. And then but I agree, they were putting out too much. There was 2 or 3 shows plus 2 movies, subpar. If they were all great, remember when WandaVision came out and there were still other movies at the time, I think Spider-Man No Way Home, no one was saying any of that stuff, that it was too much because it was good. If it's good, people aren't going to care. But when it starts to feel watered down, and that can come because your team is starting to get, well, there's too much shit we're putting out, scale back. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. They are scaling back. Okay. So I got that from Ed. Next one. Musty reviews. Also, Christian, massive fan from Australia. Thank you, man. When are you visiting? Do a meet and greet in Sydney, perhaps? Do you have a favorite Australian talent? I hate to say Hugh Jackman, right? Because I feel like that's what everybody says. But I mean, Hugh Jackman's pretty awesome. And I guess I'm also because I'm just watched Days of Future Past. And first of all, and Mr. Sunday Movies is one of my favorite Australian talents also. I haven't talked to him in a while. I really he was always very, very nice to me. I like him a lot. Tell him I said hi. So, like, you know him because every Australian knows each other. So, I would love to go to Australia. I think, look, here's my goal. And this is why I tell people up top when you're brand new to the channel, like ask people to subscribe to the channels. We're building this thing up and we're getting, and it's, again, if you see my videos and you want to, if you see my videos when they pop up, click on them. Even if you're like, I wasn't interested in it, click on them. Click the like button, do that. It helps it just get circulated into your rotation. So, you know, other stuff that's coming out and all that. I'm trying to build this thing. Like this is to me, the venture that I've put all my chips into. So the reason I tell you that is my goal is that eventually when I have the means to, and when I have the audience to, I want to take a world tour. I want to do comedy all over the world. I want to do stuff in Australia. I want to do stuff in Europe. I want to do stuff everywhere, but I got to have the audience to do it. Like I said, I lost like $4,000 going to New York when I went, and I don't regret it because we sold out, but it was 120 people that sold out the show. But with flights and hotels and all this other stuff that you have to do to get there, and then it took 2 months to sell out. The way that live events go, you got to do 1,000 to 15,000 seat theaters, maybe 2,000 seat theaters if you're doing Australia, and you got to have a sponsor. You got to have all these things. So I want all the things to be in place, but I would love to do that. I absolutely would love to do that. Okay, let's keep going. Next one. Again, you guys are out of control, and I appreciate it. Tom Talks Films. Do you think the Marvel's bad audience reception will affect Aquaman's box office? I think this kind of goes back to what I was saying in Screwface. I do think that it will add to it. I think it will add to, I guess maybe to his point, maybe it'll add to the people thinking that there's superhero fatigue, but it's adding to the fact that these mediocre movies keep coming out, that people are like, oh, here's another one. I just don't think there's anything new about it that's going to get people in the theater, although the only thing it's got going for it is it doesn't have a lot of competition if people want to go to the movies during that time. Ed, again, Galactus did have a female herald, so maybe they could use that character and not actually use the Silver Surfer. Anyway, go Giants. My Jets suck. Well, so do the Giants. Tommy DeVito for life. It's so funny. Tommy DeVito, best. Yeah, the Giants. The Giants. I mean, we got lucky yesterday. I mean, we played pretty well, but still, yeah, not the best. Rocket Movies with Tyler. What's up, man? Personally, I think that they might be setting us up to give us our 90s Rogue, which also had observed Carol Danvers' life force and gained her powers at the time on top of her mutant powers. Maybe. I mean, they got to start making a real big push for the X-Men now. I think it's a do or die for them as far as X-Men go, for sure. But it's good to see you, Tyler. Thank you, man. Sunday Joe, what up? Have you been watching Invincible? Great show. I have not. I've only watched the first like 2 or 3 episodes of season 1, and I really liked it. It's probably one of the next ones that I get into, but I will check it out. And Winston's been on me for that, so I got to check it out. The Trib. Thank you, man. When compared to everything else, the MCU is dominant, but it isn't dominating near what it was pre-COVID. The Marvels is a big red flag coming off Guardians 3 and Loki 2, but they'll be fine. I agree with you that they'll be fine, but they need to deliver with Deadpool. I think it will. I think it's going to be, once they get back on track with Deadpool, they've got to take the ball and run with it. But they've got to get the pressure is on Deadpool. They know it. They know it. Okay, next one. Thank you, by the way. Again, there he is again. Trib one. Do you think that Disney Plus is too much of a financial obscurity? I think it is. I don't really know how they're making money off that Disney Plus. Okay. Off that platform seems tricky. It does, but I think it's a lot of the money that they're making from these other movies and other things they made in the past that they're putting towards it, to where they're trying to get the subscribers to get brand recognition. I don't know if they're doing ad stuff. So I don't know. It could be, and I think that's why they're cutting back on the amount of programs that they're making also. So, but I do for sure. JW Bassman 220,000 001. Very generous super chat. Thank you. First Rate Nate, there he is. For the reason we have these lights, the First Rate Nate lights. For the 80 million, the creator looked incredible, just a bit jumbled at the end, but I think 80 to 150 should be non-Avengers movies. I agree. Make them for that, because I will tell you that the creator, even though it didn't do very well, the creator looked better than most Marvel movies. Because a lot of Marvel movies, like, they look grand and there's a lot of great CGI, but it looks fake now. You spot it, like, oh, this is just CGI and everything too. Creator looked like just great. It looked like it was all real. It looked very District 90 to me. So I agree with you. I would love to see that. Amazing. Let's see. Oh, damn, guys. Thank you, all of you. Simon Section. If Echo is a success with fans and critics and whatever algorithms ratings, do you think that this will transcend to the development of Daredevil and hopefully Punisher? No yippee-ki-yay, mother bang. I do think that is kind of where they're kind of putting their feet in the water there, Simon. I think that they're saying, okay, let's see if these start to work and Echo does really well and it delivers. Maybe we do Punisher and Daredevil. I think that's why they have that Spotlight series where they're talking about too. It gives it an opportunity to go a little bit more adult. I think it's a smart plan. They got to evolve a little bit. So I do think that that's what they're trying to do. And I think it's a good move personally, for sure. All right. Got another one here from Benzo. Happy holidays, Christian. Thank you, Benzo. To you as well. Hope you guys are going to have a wonderful holiday season thus far. We got some more coming out here too from you guys. Get some more. And then we'll finish it up. Like I said, I'll stick around for as long as you want to stick around. Is this David Gabal? Hey, Christian, do you miss One Piece? I do. I do miss One Piece. I really want to see the next season. I can't wait for it to come back. I love that show so much. Benzo, favorite athlete turned actor. It's Cena for me. I mean, I'm a big Rock fan. I do like the Rock a lot, man. So I gotta say the Rock. Probably the wrestler. I'd say the Rock. Cade Habert joining late. You should comment on the background song at the beginning of your videos. That way you can claim fair use because you're critiquing. True. I did though. No, I did though. I said, listen to this. I said, listen to this song. Let's boogie. I did. It didn't matter. They didn't say shit. They didn't care. This one company. Normally I always win the appeal and they let it go, but this company was being turds about it and I was not about to lose. Get a strike. Screwface. I'm a huge fan. Watch almost everything you put out before my channel. By the way, it's John. Got it. Not Gene. John. Screwface John. Good to know, John. Thank you. Like Wyclef. You good in my head. I love it. That means the world to me, John. And congratulations again from your for your channel. And I'm very happy that we should try to collab or do something, man. Love to do it. I'm telling you, watch Screwface John's channel. I'll make sure that I get that right. I won't screw it up again. Very kind of you. I appreciate you, man. All right, next one. Musty reviews. Holt has been announced as Lex. Is that true? Oh shoot. Let me see. If that's the truth, hold on a second. Is this true? Yes. Wow. All right. So you know what? I'm gonna have to talk about this right now. Well, no, I guess we'll talk about it on Capes and Cows. But you got to admit, if you've been watching this show, you got to admit my Superman casting was on point. I was off about everything with the SAG strike when that was going to end, but my Superman casting was on point. I called all of them, called them all, and I love that this is great casting. Love Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Love it. Great casting. fantastic. I think he's going to be great. This is good stuff. See, here's the difference. Nicholas Hoult has been in superhero stuff. He was Beast, but he wasn't in DC, and he wasn't in the same connecting universe that this is. He wasn't in the. It's the freaking Mads Mikkelsen is silly. This is great casting. I love that. Though this is great. Love that. I wish they would announce it tomorrow or even Wednesday. Love with that. Whatever. That's great. Thank you for telling me. Cooley High. Yes, the best. Happy bro. Hey bro. Happy early Thanksgiving to the fam. Have you seen Old Dads? Yes. When I watched it, I automatically thought of you. Your comedy reminds me of Bill Burr. That's about the most kind thing that anyone could probably say. I DM'd you on Twitter. Be easy, my friend. Thank you. So first of all, it's always great to see you, Cooley High. You're the best. Second, I did see it, loved it, got a real kick out of it. I love Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr is today's George Carlin. I love his raw honesty. I love the way that he plays both sides. I think he's a genius. And what I love about Bill Burr is I can watch, and this isn't an insult. I'm sure no comedian wants to hear this, but I could watch Bill Burr for 10 minutes and if I didn't laugh, it doesn't matter because I'm so captivated on what he's saying. I love Bill Burr, and that's very, very, very kind of you. And I like the movie. I got a real kick out of it. Smokey Vandross, as a stand-up, how do you turn a funny story into a joke? Make 1 minute to 2, and how do you do your jokes on stage? It's just about tagging, and it's about experience, and it's about when you're on stage, if you're telling a particular story, like, if you're talking about me throwing something into the tree, like, what is it about the particular thing that somebody says, and knowing that if you're setting something up and you're getting ready to heighten this experience to make the audience feel like they're with you, and then it's writing, right? It's like, okay, and then they can envision a particular person coming and then saying this, and hopefully that thing that person says is funny, and that gets the laugh. And then you maneuver it into what's the goal and how are you going to end it? So it's got to be this whole big story. It's like a Saturday Night Live sketch too, right? You're building, and you want to punch, get a big laugh, and then you want to leave. That's just that's the way I approach the writing, and the way I was taught by my mentor, Paul D'Angelo, who taught me a lot. Zim XLR8. What's up, man? Thank you again for the very generous super chat. Hey, Kristian, you're my go-to channel when it comes to movie reviews. Thank you very much. I know there's a lot of options out there, so that means a lot. I know you don't watch a ton of anime, but have you ever thought of having a show like Capes and Cowls for anime? My daughter would love that if I did that. So the difference with Capes and Cowls is that I have and this is not an insult against anime, because like you look at something like One Piece that they turned into a show and I wound up loving it. The stories, and I value it very much. I just can't get into it. The comic book movies and I'm into, and I can talk about it, even though I maybe not be as in the history in the way that like Winston and Coy are. That's why I can ask them questions, but I can talk about it. I can't really talk about anime in that way. Now, eventually, like I said, as I'm building up the channel, my goal is to try to get this thing to 1 million subscribers, and for this to be like you said, it's your destination for movie reviews. It's your destination that people come for. I want people to come here for interviews. I want people to come here for fun. I want people to come here for laughs. I want people to come here for knowledge on what's going on. And I want people to just come for escape, right? That's my goal. I want to get this thing. I want to build it. I want to jump from, like I said, 100 to 1 million, and I want to get there. And if I get to that place to where I'm still like the kind of a one-man band, to where I have to do all this stuff myself, eventually, if I could get to a place where someone like look what Greg Alba has done, or what the real rock stars have done, and being able to build out their business and hire people to do shows and things like that, I would love to do that eventually. But right now, it's not in the cards. But thank you for the very, very kind words. Very nice, Zim. Appreciate it. Okay. Wow. You guys are keeping me on, and I love it. I got to tell, I'm going to have to, oh my God. Anthony Nugent, dude, thank you so much. Very, very kind of you. Good day. Congrats on the 100K subs. But very generous, as you always are. What a generous super chat that is. Thank you to everybody. But thank you so much, Anthony. Big achievement for the channel. I was wondering if you could elaborate further on my tweet you replied to regarding the old live show and the disappearance of it. Would like to DM with you about it if you prefer. Cheers, mate. Which about the old live show, the Schmoes No live show? I can't remember the particular tweet. If it was the old live show, I think that's what you're referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong. But the old live show, the movie reviews will most likely mark my reviews with Ellis will most likely live on what is now the Schmodown channel, as well all the other Schmodown channels. The live show episodes are exclusive for Patreon. Ellis and I agreed on that, and something he asked for, and something I'm cool with too. The live show is exclusive. Like there's certain episodes that pop up on Patreon. So if you are a patron over there, you'll get access to the old school live shows. But the movie reviews will start to become live as soon as, again, I get a little help or I have some free time to be able to put those things up there. I assume that's what you're referring to, and I think so, and that's my answer to that. But again, Anthony, thank you so much for that wonderful, generous donation. Thank you so much. Wow, that was very nice, as you always have been for years. So thank you for that. I think, is that it? Let me see. I'm looking up. There's another one. You guys, the Raven Effect. It's a shame that Marvel is struggling these days, as Phase 1 to Phase 3 are a real triumph for cinema. True. Phase 4 did very little for me, and the She-Hulk fourth wall lost me completely. She-Hulk lost a lot of people, for sure. The first two I really enjoyed. I really did. And then they, and I didn't mind the fourth wall break there because Deadpool did it, and she does it in the comics. So I didn't mind it, but the shift in tone completely lost me, and it didn't take it. It was too goofy. I think that's it. So guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it more than you can possibly know. Thank you so much for all those wonderful super chats. Thank you for tuning in here today. We had a long show today, and I'm glad that we did. So thanks for being here with me. As I mentioned before, if you're able to, and you want to support the show, and you can, and you want to get something nice for somebody for Christmas, look at our wonderful sponsors. The links are in the description over there for sure. There is the Spotify and Apple, and the Patreon. Man, I don't know. I haven't checked today. I don't know if any of you guys jumped over there while we were here, but if we get to 600, Mike's going to do stand-up comedy, obviously, and we're building that thing out. So that's all the stuff that we're doing to try to build out. That's everything. You guys are great. I thank you so much. Please comment if you're watching this not live, you're watching it on the replay. Please comment. Let me know your opinions on all of this stuff. And yeah, you guys are just you're wonderful, and I appreciate it. Okay, so thank you. We'll see you on the flip side, and we'll see you tomorrow. For a lot of you, we'll see you tomorrow on UAP Tuesday with me, Mark Riley, and Attack Peter. All right, peace out, y'all. Freaking Archie.